Got horse questions? We've got answers for you on Holistic Horseworks Live.
Why does my horse keep coming up lame?
Why don't these hooves ever stay even?
Why does my horse bite when being saddled?
My horse has been on injections, chiropractic, and acupuncture for years. Why isn't anything working?
Every show, we work with real horse owners on their real horse problems. Watch as we identify what's really going on with these horses, and you'll walk away knowing exactly what to do with your horse. Join us for Holistic Horseworks Live on the first Wednesday of every month at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. Register now. It's free to attend. HolisticHorseWorks.com/live.
We're going to jump right into it with Marilyn and her horse. She's going to be taking the level 1, 2, and 3 class in Australia. And this is her horse, Joe. So we're going to be going over issues that Joe's having and what I see.
Hi, everybody.
Lisa, I need the Joe picture bigger to be the main picture. There we go.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay.
So do you want to tell us a little bit about Joe?
Joe's 10-year-old quarter horse. He's in bad shape. I actually met Joe when I went to a friend's place and we went riding up in the mountains and they put me on Joe and I could see he was really bad. And so I offered to buy him and they said I could. So I brought him home and I've just been trying to deal with all his issues ever since. He's a really good horse. He's now decided he won't pick up his back legs. He was always funny with them, but now he doesn't want to pick them up at all. And yeah, he's had some issues in the back end. Looks like he's broken a bit off his pelvis bone. Yeah, when I first got him, he couldn't even touch him on the face or anything. So he's a lot better, but he just keeps going straight back to, I get him going good and around the head, and then he just goes straight back to being touchy again. So I need him to get fixed once and for all.
And you're going to be learning that in the level 3 cranial decompression class with Marissa Levin in Australia.
Yeah, exactly. I'm really looking forward to that. He really makes it.
Yeah, so everyone, Marilyn and I had a little chat and I kind of pointed out some things on her horse a couple of days ago. And Lisa's going to bring up some pictures with lines and arrows that we're going to talk about. First, let's do the pictures first and then we'll do the video on the horse second. So do you have those ready, Lisa?
Yes, let me pull them up now. And I'm going to have to start a screen share, so give me just a few moments.
These horses is what always learns and teaches us about what we don't know. So, and what I found while Lisa's doing that is since we've had the knotted rope halters and the patience poles, there's more damage done to the horse's heads when a young horse pulls back when tied. So these are the hooves. In my fourth book, What I See When I See a Horse, when I go to do an evaluation and work on a horse, the first thing I look at it is the hooves and then the rest of the body. So you guys can raise your hand or just put something in the chat box, which is probably better, about this is not bad farrier work. What do you think this is? So, Lisa, can you see my cursor move?
No, I can't see yours. Can you see mine?
Yes. Okay. So looking at what would be the horse's left front foot with these two arrows, you can kind of see where this toe is going to the outside. The other hoof, Lisa.
This one.
Yeah.
Okay.
His left front. Okay, so he's going to be jamming and loading on the inside heel. And this is kind of like if someone wore your everyday walking, hiking shoes and dragged on the inside of the sole so that when you got in it, your ankles dropped and your knees dropped, it's going to start creating arthritic issues higher up. So if we're looking at the shape of the hoof and the toe pointing out and this medial flare pointing out, where you see this big arrow out here, he can't even break over. This is like being in a shoe too long for you. and he's not breaking over straight. And if we go up to the fetlock joint, you'll see a little bit of arthritis starting on the inside of the fetlock joint. Okay, you need to be able to, even with people, when your foot is hitting the ground, look down when you're walking, when you're climbing stairs, when you're standing, your toes should be under your knee. If your toes are out, your T-band is too tight, and you're going to have ankle issues, knee issues, and hip issues. So the doctors that are replacing knees and hips aren't looking at how people are standing. So, but what this shows me is on his left front, the sternum and pectorals are too tight. So it's pulling and having that left front leg jam and load the inside, and then the pressure is making the hoof go to the outside. For those of you that know a little bit about hooves, you'll see that little stress marked by this outside arrow where there's pressure. Okay, so this is going to start side bone and ring bone sooner on in the horse because the hoof and the fetlock and the knee are not able to load straight, but it still comes from higher up in the body with pectorals and sternum that needs unwinding. And so this horse might be a little bit cinchy, girthy, as the ribs and pectorals, sternum are not quite in alignment. You can see his right front foot is a little bit better than the left front. And as you know, horses work a diagonal. So when we go to the hind feet over here, this picture on the right, you'll see, I always tell people, you know, your farrier and trimmer cut and shape the front. They're like, oh yeah, those feet look really good, but go squat down behind your horse at a safe distance and look at the heel bulbs and the whole hoof from the rear. You're going to see how they're jamming and loading. So his left hind is a little bit dropped on the outside and his right hind is a little bit dropped on the inside. So I would be following that up in my level 2 class, and we look for the tight muscles, the groin issues, a little bit higher than the heel bulbs. You'll see some calcification starting. So he's got more side bone and ring bone on his right hind foot. But on the left hind foot, you can see the higher hoof wall. So you see where that hairline is. I wish I could move my cursor, Lisa. How do I do that? So that they
I
can
think
see.
it's because I'm sharing my screen. See, do you have an annotate option at the bottom of your screen? In the Zoom toolbar, you might
Can you see this pencil?
yes. Yeah, I see that.
Okay, that'll help. Can it, so you can see this pencil going up and down?
I saw it a second ago. I see click. Can you draw with it?
I don't know.
Because I see it looks like you're making
Oh,
marks.
yay.
There you go.
Technology.
There you go.
Okay, so you're going to have a little bit more arthritis up in here because, again, the hoof isn't landing balanced. More arthritis up here. On the front, more arthritis here, here, and here. So this is the side bone, which is down here on the coronary band. Ring bone is higher up. And the vets don't quite know what to do about it. We have a sweat that we do that helps to decrease the side bone calcifications. But first, you have to get the horse's body loading the hoof correctly and breaking over on the hoof correctly. So can we go to the next slide? Okay, so same horse. Oh, those circles stayed. Left hind.
Let me see if I can erase them for you.
That's okay. Left hind right here, more arthritis on this fetlock joint is a lot bigger than this right hind. And you can see again the rear hooves way out of balance where I have the yellow arrows.
Okay, is that
And let's go to the head or the next slide. I have to erase all the little things. So Joe would present as a downhill horse, even though he's fully grown. The top of the scapula, I'm going to do a little circle right here. Okay, when you see the top of the scapula and the withers, there should be a 1 to 2 inch gap. The withers should be that much taller. So muscles pull bone. This horse would be really heavy on the forend. He's overusing neck and shoulder muscles to try and bring the shoulder forward. The compensation is going to be coming from the hind end. The psoas goes into spasm. That's going to pull the hips out. And your kissing spine is going to be either in the withers or in the lumbar area 90% of the time. And that's all muscle pulling. So if you've watched my program at all, first rib compensation, which is way here under the point of the shoulder, most equine body workers are not addressing the first rib because it's so deep under the shoulder that nobody knows how to release it. It's not like a rib's poking out. It's just in a way that the shoulder can't come through forward correctly. And in the past 7 to 8 years, before that, it used to only be on one side, and now it's being on both sides. So we're seeing more kissing spine prevalent, and people are just doing surgeries and cutting it out when it's actually muscle is pulling bone too close together. So first rib misalignment on both sides is going to give you that heavy on the forehand horse. It's going to give you a little bit of the U-neck horse because he's not lifting and using his front end correctly. The neck's going to kind of shorten as the rhomboids and trapezius are having to pick up and move the scapula forward. And in my level 1 class, we teach you how to release the first rib. And first rib is out in all foals by 6 months of age. We just have minerally deficient horses with all the stuff the brood mares are getting and all the farmers not being able to grow real organic hay anymore. So he's not really a downhill horse. The withers are just too tight into the shoulder, but it all is starting with the first rib. So heavy on the forehand horse, if you're in training, the person's going to use the bit to say, get light on the front end, come back to the hind end. And that's when we put the psoas in spasm, and that's what pulls the hips out. He also has a sore SI joint, which is why he wouldn't want to pick up hind legs because it hurts to stand on the other leg. Both pictures, he doesn't want to stand square on the hind end. So, following that up, you've got a lot of soreness up in here in the croup area and deep under. If people don't know where the SI joint is, the needle would be about 6 inches long that a vet would use to inject the SI joint. In level 2 class, we actually work on what to do for the SI joint to make it better. For right now, I've talked to Marilyn, whenever you pick up the hind feet, you have to just leave it right there on the toe. You can't pick it up and out. You have to leave it right there on the toe and just along the ground, bring it slowly back to cross the other hind leg, and then the horse can tolerate standing there for a while. What they can't tolerate is bringing the hind leg up and out to the side like we do for our backs when we're cleaning hooves or the farrier trimmers working on the hind feet. The horse will shake its leg like, let go, I'm in pain, and the farriers grip on tighter because they think the horse is kicking at them. Sometimes people actually reprimand the horse. If you stand behind that horse, when someone's trying to pick up that leg, you'll see the other leg go into spasm like a big earthquake. So I've seen people sedating horses, roping hind legs, trying to work on all this when really we just need to get in there and work on the sore SI joint. And we do that in my level 2 class. When the horse starts standing square, the hooves grow down correctly to balance and keep all the body work in alignment. So if you want to erase those, Lisa, and then we'll go to the next screen. And cranial trauma. So the knotted rope halters, ever since they became really popular, we're having more Cushing, more uveitis, more autoimmune, more allergies. And if you look up cranial sacral for people, all of that is on the list when we have cranial trauma. With people, it's whiplash or falling off a horse or motorcycle without a helmet on. So this is Joe's head. And you'll see the imbalance of where, we're looking at it's on the right side, but it's his left eye seems a little bit pushed out and dropped. Yet his left nostril looks a little bit higher. So he's had more than one head trauma. And we'll stop in just a minute to look at some of these questions that we're getting. Up on his forehead area, and you guys can all go look at your horses after this. These are the up-down chew muscles. This area should be flat. When the horse takes the cranial compression and that knotted rope halter slides up behind the occiput, it jams the bones down and forward. And if you've ever noticed when a horse can't get away, they just really lean to one side. They're just leaning, and you either have to cut the rope or something, because 25 years ago, we had the flat web halters with the cheap snaps, and the horse could break it and get away, so less damage was done to the horse. Now the knotted rope halters on a 3-month-old to 2-year-old, when the cranial bones are so soft, all they have to do is rear up and pull on the handler when they're 3 months old, and that's already doing cranial shifts. And what does that mean to you? Okay, so Joe would be heavier on left rein. And people are going to say, give to the bit, give to the bit. And as we pull on that rein, saying, give to the bit, we're destabilizing that jaw joint. Eventually, the up-down chew muscles here, they're chewing up-down instead of sideways because they can't. That's what's giving you the hooks and waves that needs the dental floating. So it's a lot better to just take the level 3 class that we teach, and we actually manually shift the cranial bones from this trauma. There's some nerve trauma down by his nose too. So on top of both first ribs out and sore SI joint, he actually has some cranial trauma. That's your horses that are spooking, head shy, don't like their head being touched. Lisa, can you do that skeleton with the lines?
Yes, let me stop this share and pull up another one.
Hi, buddy.
Okay, here we go. Can you see it?
Yeah, so can everybody see this? And does anybody want to ask any questions about this right now?
We did have a question a little bit earlier about hooves, if you want to take that question.
I don't see it. It's
in the chat.
This is a farrier not trimming the angle properly. Hi, Leah. No, it's how the horse stands on the body. So if you stood, just on your right foot and kind of leaning over all the time, where there's pressure, the horse is not going to grow hoof, and the hoof is going to grow where there isn't pressure. So like I was saying, your farrier can cut and trim the hoof to make it look nice, but 6 to 8 weeks later, you're still going to see that hoof imbalance again, because it's how the horse is standing on the hoof 24 hours a day and how they're breaking over on the hoof. Does that answer the question? Hopefully. If not, we'll get to it at the end. So this was a skull of a horse that always spooked on the right, really big spooks. This is the occiput bone right here, up between the ears. Oops.
You might need to turn the annotation back on.
Ah, okay. Well, there's the, this is between the horse's ears. Okay. This is what the back of the halter catches on and shoves down and forward. And this horse leaned really hard to the right when he did this cranial trauma. So he would have been heavier on right rein, and he would have been spooking on the right. So when your horses are spooking, pay attention to if it's only on one side, like, oh yeah, it's always when we leave the barn, but never when we come back. But just pay attention to, is it because the garbage can's on the right, and it's on the left when he comes back? The picture got real big and I can't bring it down. I don't know how to.
Give me a second. Let me see if I can zoom out. Better?
Yeah. Okay. So on this horse over here, this cheekbone, oops, it moved. Can you erase those for me? Lisa's amazing. So on here, this cheekbone is actually dropped. And I have a picture of, you can measure your horse's head, put a tape measure directly in the middle of the pole and come down the side to each first wrinkle there where you would put the bit and see if one side is a ½ inch to an inch longer. If you can actually drop the bit on that side, the resistance will go away in the horse instead of keep saying, give to the bit, give to the bit. And then my level 3 cranial decompression, we actually move all those bones back up. We move the eye, we move the nasal bone. There's 26 different bones. It's not just a big bone in the horse's head. And they all come together with sutures. It's like a jigsaw piece puzzle. So when they take the compression, they jam and then they calcify. And we actually break all that up and manually move it back up. Did we have one more picture of Joe? Or are we done with Joe?
Let me take a look, but we have a question in the chat that I think would be good to answer now while I pull that up.
Yeah, and then we're going to go live to Joe, so we're going to see it on the horse, so that you guys can say, "Oh, yeah, I do see that." So it's not conformation. Conformation is what the horse is born with. Posture is what you get when muscles are pulling you tight. When you slump over at the desk on the computer, that's your posture. That's not your conformation. So when the horse has both first ribs misaligned and we lunge them and we ask them to do work and they're heavy on the forend, they're overusing the rhomboid and trapezius muscles to pick up the shoulder, and that's going to shorten the neck and give you a U-necked horse. The compensation of asking a heavy front end horse with the bit to come back to the hind end over tightens the psoas right where the saddle ends, and the other end of the psoas attaches inside the hock. So then your hocks start becoming closer and closer together. And if your hooves are not under your shoulder and your rear hooves are not under the hips, then you're going to have those medial-lateral flares and imbalance in the hooves. Did I get all the questions? Yes, the rope halters do a lot more damage because it's cliff climbing rope. It slides up into a tighter groove. It does more damage to the nuchal ligament. When a young horse pulls back and struggles, there's scar tissue adhesions at the pole on the back of the occiput. So that horse can never really fully get on the bit. Where the atlas axis and C1 and C2 break, they start breaking in a false frame out of like C3, farther down in the neck. So that's your heavy argumentative horses. Their jaws locked up and dropped on one side, and they can't bend at the pole, and using running martingales or bigger bits to get them into frame is just detrimental to the horse. So if you do my course, we're actually fixing all of this. Level 1's about the skeleton, level 2's about the fascia and the organs, and level 3's about the crooked heads. Any other? Okay. And everyone's like, how did my horse get like this? You don't know. You know, I bred a horse for halter and sport, and he was 6 weeks old, and we found him on the other side of a 4-foot no-climb fence with his whole face split open. He ran into the fence and bounced up and over. So, you know, foals go to sleep under a fence, next to a fence, and wake up under a fence. And that's you having like a baby that got out the crib and kind of twisted its way through the bars till it fell on the floor. So now we're going to spotlight Marilyn, and we're going to see all these issues on Joe, so that when you guys walk up to horses, and that's my 4th book, What I See When I See a Horse. I look at the head, I can say, wow, he probably spooks on the right. You've got the weepy eye. That eye that's dropped as well is also the one that's always running. It's usually the one that gets the uveitis, which anything with an itis means inflammation. So with my cranial, we've actually had 5 horses that the vet said they must have misdiagnosed uveitis because it doesn't get better, and that they didn't need to remove the eye anymore. And we're like, yes. So if we can show Joe up close with his head now. Hi, Joe. You're our star of the show. So she's going to move the forelock up a little bit, and you'll see that his forehead muscles. I know, baby, I know. So this is not training and behavioral. This is him saying that he has a really bad headache every day. Those muscles right there on his forehead are up down chew muscles. And what that means to the owner is power tools every year. Okay, he shouldn't be chewing up down. These muscles should be flat. If you look at the masseter muscles right here in the TMJ, they'll start to hollow out. When I see big forehead muscles, you always see a hollow and a dip on the TMJ on the side. You want to see just where his jaw is, that's all dipping in. So just the hooks and waves every year means he's going to have digestion issues. If a horse cannot chew like this to break down their feed and they're chewing like this, okay, you're going to have mysterious colics, weird stuff looking in their poop. Okay. He says, all right, you can touch my head. I've had horses that were rearing, don't touch my head. And we spray this product called Dynamite Release. We just keep misting it over until I can do the head. And level 3, we have their head down in a mash as we move all these bones. And I've had owners just crying because the next day the horse's head is between their knees saying, stroke my ears, mom. And they're just in tears going, I didn't know. I just thought he was always going to be head shy. And we pulled this bone up and, spread all of these. We kind of reverse the process of what that knotted rope halter does, where it slides up behind the occiput and jams everything down and forward. It's a good halter, but any halter should always be on a slip tie or some kind of bungee with give. Those patient poles that some of the natural horsemanship trainers use, and they just tie it there and say they'll figure it out. I've had so many people say their horse was ruined after that. And Marilyn saved this horse, and now she's going to go take classes so she can fix all of this. So now we're going to go look at his chest muscles, knees, and down to his feet. Okay, so right there is perfect. His shoulder, see how he looks base narrow? Base narrow means where his shoulder is, the legs are closer together than where his shoulders are. So see how his feet are kind of going out, his hooves are going out a little bit. So level 2 class, that's a really tight, I don't know if I can't draw. But she has her hand right there, really tight pectoral and sternum muscles pulling those legs together. And so the knees and the fetlocks are going to have premature arthritis and side bone and ring bone. And when she takes level 2 class, we're going to check back in with her in about a month after the class. There'll be another 4-inch gap between the front legs because that's how wide his chest is. And when he's standing on those hooves correctly, then the hoof can start to grow down correctly. And if I was there working on the horse, I would follow that left front hoof all the way up, because inside his left, that sternum pectoral is too tight. So his diaphragm and sternum is probably tweaked a little bit to the left. How is he when you girth him up, Marilyn?
Yeah, he's pretty good. But I think he's just learned that he has to live with it, because before, if he did anything, he just got flogged.
Right. So
he just
put the flat of your hand kind of on, do you know where the pectoral muscles are?
here and here.
Okay, it's almost like, boobs on a woman. So if you were flat on the one on your side, you're going to go between his front legs. Yeah. So that side, just stroking down to the girth area. No, just with that hand where it was. Yep. Just stroking down there. Yeah, that's the right side pectorals. Now, if you do the other side, you should feel a difference. It should be like a little tighter in there.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, so we unwind that in level 2, and then the joints can start loading correctly. So my program's all, if we can catch this earlier on, we can have amazing horses to ride until they're 30. Do you remember that spot I showed you on the hind end to show where the psoas is in spasm on top of the hip?
Yeah.
We're going to jump back to his hind end. Wait for the camera.
I think this is where the bit of chipped bone is floating around, I was told.
Yeah.
But I think you were up here somewhere.
Yeah, so find that hip bone first, about 2 inches more forward. Your right hand's almost on it. Just go up over that bone 1 inch. Okay, and then just push in. And if you can, yep, a little slower. I want the viewers just push down. Can the camera person come closer? Okay, when she pushes there, the whole psoas goes into spasm. So just push in deep and hold, no wiggle. Okay. So that spasm is there all the time. That's the psoas attachment. And the other end of where the saddle ends over ribs 17 and 18 coming in there, that's the lumbar kissing spine. But when this is over tight, your hocks are always going to be close together. So in our level 2 class, we unwind the whole hind end, and then you have like a 6 to 8 inch gap between your hocks. And then your hip, your hock, and your hoof are loading correctly in the hind end. So we're going to take a pause and look at questions. Any questions right now? Larger picture of the horse. Yeah, can we pull back and look at a whole picture of the horse? This is the one that I showed the arrows on previously. He looks a little bit downhill. He's heavy on the fore. He'd be heavier on, I think we said right rein. Which one did we say in that picture, Marilyn? Heavier on which rein?
The left.
Yeah, heavier on left rein.
But since I've bought him, I just ride him bitless
Right.
because not like that.
What did the last equine dentist say about his teeth?
They're shocking.
Yeah.
She said he has
So people,
shocking.
I've had people say, just fix the body. I don't want you to fix the head. And I'm like, and your equine dental bill is how much a year? Okay, fix the head. After we do level 3 cranial decompression on them, the equine dentist comes out and says, oh, I only had to touch up one little tooth. You know, the horse is maintaining their own, you know, balance by being able to chew sideways now, masticating their food. So before we switch to the next horse, does anybody have any questions about Joe?
I have a question.
Okay.
What do you think happened up here? How it comes down and then it just flattens out here, completely flat. When he puts his head down, his shoulders are actually higher than this wither area. Do you think he's done some damage there? It's like he's got no vertebrae, and then he comes up to the wither.
Well, part of that is the U neck. They call it EWE, U neck, because the rhomboid trapezius muscles are lifting the shoulder. That's why
So
right before the shoulder, right under the mane, the muscle's thicker.
Yeah, he's huge. He's absolutely huge here.
Right. He's using those muscles to pick up and bring the shoulder through. So anytime you're overusing muscles, it's going to pull the bones closer. So when you're doing the horse yoga with the leg circles and you're doing the belly lifts and the midriffs, you're actually going to be coming and asking for the withers to lift as well. So the horses don't have a collarbone like we do. Their scapula's loose. So if they're tight and heavy on the front end, it's all muscular. If people can't afford my program, we start them with the horse yoga.
Right. So when I fix all of this stuff, this should fix up itself, should it?
Yeah. I mean, you can always take an x-ray to see if pizzas are fractured off, you know, if he broke some going over backwards.
Yeah, well, that's what I think.
I think that is going to be fixed when you take Marissa's 3 levels of classes.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll be Zooming with you again about a month after that so we can see the new and updated Joe.
Yes.
Yes. Anything else, viewers, before we go on to the next horse? Okay, so they're labeled as problem horses. He's also standing over on the fore. You know, means the hoof is not under the shoulder. He's standing there and he's kind of leaning over. That's going to give you low heel and long toe usually. Okay, I didn't scroll up. Lisa, are there any questions that I might have missed?
Yes, we have one from Brenda. Are there exercises you need to do before working on the first rib?
In my program, we show that I start unwinding from the neck all the way back. So, and we do a deep myofascial release from C6 and C7 first, opening up the area. And first rib impingement on left side is causing the horses that roar, because the laryngeal nerve runs in a different pattern on the left side of the horse than the right. So all the horses that roar need the tie back surgery. Cranial bones are dropped and compressed on the left, and first rib is out on the left. So we do some unwinding the first time, because my horse yoga, your horse should be able to reach his stifle with his nose for a carrot. And if they can't, that's how much arthritis you have in the horse's neck. So after you do that first rib that's been out for the whole life of the horse, because the other body workers are missing it, then you can just go and release the first rib anytime you find it. I've done it in the middle of a 50-mile endurance ride when my horse started catching that hoof, when they're trotting along. So when your horses come in from the pasture and they've pulled a front shoe, that's one of the ways the first rib comes out. A foal running through mud, bog, and gopher holes, or taking a tumble. An adult horse leaning really heavy over a solid board fence. Anything that pushes that leg down. And that's the foal that's always going to be putting one foot out in front. And that's what starts your high-low. So the first rib side is the side that's going to go back because the shoulder doesn't come through forward well. So if first rib's out on the right side, you're going to have high heel, and the compensating hoof is the left is always going to go forward, and that's going to be your low heel on the foals. Any other questions? My thing's not scrolling down.
Those are all the questions I see for now.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Marilyn. And I'm looking forward to seeing. Sorry?
I'm sorry. Somebody just asked one. Amanda said, what do you find is the root cause of a horse standing under like that? Her horse has the same problem with the U-neck, but she hates the leg circle and pulls the leg out all the time.
That's because, well, in our class, we release the elbows, but that's also sternum unwinding. So they really don't like that circles up and forward. It's really uncomfortable. The first rib is actually in the way. It's at the base of the neck here. So as you're trying to bring that leg forward, it kind of hits that first rib. It's not that it's painful to the horse. It's just that it doesn't allow the leg to come through forward. So when you're cantering on that lead and the horse doesn't really want to do it, it's almost like they're side stroke swimming because the leg can't come through forward. So contact us after the show. There's something new I added to the horse yoga when you're doing the leg circles to do that stroke like I had her doing down each side pectoral just to release all those muscles. But basically you need to release the elbow and the first rib, and then your horse would be a lot happier. And the standing over the forend is because they're trying to traction their lower back. And then what do? We cut off the toes. So the horse is leaning way far forward, trying to traction their back. And then we take off the toes, and then the front of their cannon bone up to their knee and all the way up to their shoulder over tightens, trying to hold that balance. So once we get our horses square, if my horse wasn't standing square out in the pasture, I would go fix it. If Tiki had one foot in front of the other and he's a half acre away, I would go fix it. Anytime your horse is not standing square, there's something above to work on. So you can see Joe has something in the hind end to work on, something in the front end to work on. When we have these horse clinics, all the horses that we had worked on would be standing square, tied to the trailers with their hooves under the shoulder, not behind the shoulder. And all the ones we hadn't worked on yet, you could just tell the difference in how they were standing. Anything else? So clubfoot is usually an alfalfa-fed broodmare that's different than high-low. The high-low changes. And I've had a barefoot trimmer that took my class in Arizona. She said she'd had that mare all her life. She was 6 years old. It towed in. And after she did level 1, 2, and 3, the horse feet totally turned out. That whole front leg is only muscle and tendon and ligament. It's not attached by bone. So if your hooves aren't straight and the horse isn't standing square, we can do something about that. Anybody else before we switch to the next horse? Thank you, Marilyn, for rescuing Joe and was taking you on this amazing journey to meet my Australia instructor, Marissa. You're going to love her. She's just all about, even the horse's tongue, when we release the highlight, goes under the whole belly and up to his tail. It's amazing how everything is so connected.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be chatting again soon. I'll be checking in with you after Marissa's class. When is that?
It's in April. Well, yeah, the end of April.
Yeah, so that'll be good. So we'll book like end of May.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for Holistic Horseworks Live. We hope you'll join us for the next show scheduled for the first Wednesday of every month at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. Now we have some amazing horse care resources for you. First up, our Free Horse 101 ebook. Everything you wish you had known before you got your first horse, and many aha moments for experienced horse owners. Available at horseacademy101.com. Next, to get 24/7 horse care help, right in your pocket, download the Holistic HorseWorks Remedies app. Available on Google Play and the App Store. You'll have access to comprehensive guides and solutions for a wide range of equine health challenges, right there at the barn, on the trail, or whenever you need it most. Want to learn how to read horses just like April? Check out this #1 bestseller in horse care on Amazon, What I See When I See a Horse, a book about learning to see beyond the surface of a horse. This book will forever change how you perceive and care for horses. And if you're ready to dive deeper, we've got 2 paths for you. Holistic HorseWorks online courses let you learn how to help your horse yourself at home, and they include bonus offers like a free equine distance reading and a 30-minute consultation with April Love, very much like what you just saw today. Or, if you want the best Holistic HorseWorks experience, join us at one of our hands-on clinics. We have clinics all over the world where you'll get real hands-on experience with real horses. And finally, here's a special offer just for joining us today. Use coupon code LIVE75, LIVE75, to get $75 off our Level 1 Equine Musculoskeletal Unwinding online course. Visit HolisticHorseWorks.com to redeem this offer. If you want an even bigger offer, make sure you join us for the next Holistic HorseWorks Live, where we share even bigger discounts just for our guests. It's on the first Wednesday of every month at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. Register for free at HolisticHorseWorks.com/live.